Good morning, everybody. My name is Nalini. If you were with me at 8 a.m. yesterday, I did say Susie would be taking this class, but unfortunately she's had some bad times with some stitches, so isn't able to teach this week. So you've got me again, so let's send her some healing vibes while we practice. We're moving through an hour-long stretch today, and we're just going to go full body, as stretchy as we can. A nice midweek release for us. I've got by me a bolster and a strap, so if you don't have either at home, no worries. For a bolster, you can use a pillow. Susie's been doing a really nice trick where she grabs a pillow, rolls it, and then wraps a blanket in it, so it gives a bit of firmness. Great idea. For a strap, you could use a belt. A lot of yoga mats come with sort of a strap that ties them. They're really good. Or what else have we got? A dog leash or a dressing gown belt thing. So many options. And then if all else fails, just like a t-shirt that's not too stretchy works a treat as well. So take a moment, grab those things. If you're super, super flexible, you might not need the strap, but it's always good to have something just to give your arms or your legs a little bit of extra length. And we're going to start down in a reclined Supta Baddha Konasana. So coming to lie down onto your mat and bringing the soles of the feet together and taking the knees wide. Now, if straight away you really feel a strong sensation through the inner thighs and it feels like the legs are unsupported, you'll want to bring some support to the outsides of the thighs. This might be like couch cushions or blocks if you have them. It can really just be anything that props the legs and helps them hold. If you want even more support, the bolster can come underneath the knees. This does take the knees quite high. Soles of the feet together that reach for the floor beyond the bolster, and then knees still spread wide. So this is a very gentle variation of our supta. Otherwise, if you're feeling nice and open through the hips first thing this morning, you might just want to let the knees go with no support. Let's bring the hands onto the belly, palms facing down. Let the elbows relax down to the mat. Draw the shoulders back and down. Make sure the back of the head is heavy. A gentle draw of chin to chest so the back of the neck is long. And closing down the eyes here. Allowing the body to feel supported by whatever is beneath you, your mat and any props. And start to tune in to the rhythm of your breathing this morning. How does it feel? Listen for your inhale. Listen for your exhale. And observe how the body moves with your breath. And these might be the first few really conscious breaths of your day. So take your time with them. Our breath is a bridge that we have between our conscious and unconscious body. So by connecting to it, we really start to understand the more subtle workings of our bodies. So as you focus on your breath, it might have naturally started to lengthen, deepen, and slow. And if it hasn't already, let's mindfully do this now, ironing out each breath. And I really like that as a visualization, imagining like a really scrunched up piece of clothing straight out of the washing machine and all heaps of crinkles with it. And then as you lay it flat on a board and iron it out, the surface space expands and it becomes this smooth, soft piece of fabric. This might be a good visualization for your lungs as you breathe, opening, smoothing out the space in your chest, in your belly, in your whole body. Begin to notice if your inhale is longer or calmer than your exhale, or vice versa. Notice if there's any part of the breath that catches or feels uncomfortable. And that's okay, we're just observing these things. So that we can move and work and breathe in a way that feels good for us today. And you've got 5 more big, long breaths here. Breathing with your entire body. Noticing the lift, the energy of expansion that comes with your inhale. And the grounding, the energy of contraction or turning in that comes with your exhale. Once you've finished your 5th breath, there's no rush with these. Keep the breath long and steady. Start to run your hands down your thighs to the outsides and use your hands to encourage your knees back together. If you were up on a bolster or you had cushions supporting the underneath of the knees, just pull them out of the way. Knees draw together and then pick the feet up off the mat and draw the knees in toward the belly, in toward the chest. Ironing your lower back out on the mat, and we'll start to rock gently left to right. Okay, from here we're coming straight up into our happy baby. So coming back through center, knees draw in toward your chest, and then the knees separate and pull them down toward your armpit. We're going to start off with the hands reaching behind the knees. Draw knees closer to armpits, ground as much as you can through the lower back, and start to send the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. So there's an energy as if you're trying to stand on the ceiling, plant the soles of the feet upward, but draw with your arms downward. So if you were to let go of your legs would go to straight. So quite active, and this gives us a nice opening of the hips. You can stay here, hands behind your knees, or reach up to the outside edges of the feet. So the elbows come to the inside of the legs, but the hands go to the outside edges of the feet. Knees draw down toward the armpits, maybe even pass them toward the floor. Soles of the feet are still stamping toward the ceiling. Notice if your head has started to lift away from the mat, and if that is the case, you might want to bring your hands back down to the behinds of your knees. Allow the back of the head to be heavy, the lower back to be as heavy as possible. And allow the breath to move deeply into the belly. Give it space here. And you might want to, again, gently rock one way then the other, drawing one knee a little closer to the mat at a time. Now we're going to start to move a little more toward the inner thighs and the hamstrings. So this will look a little different for each of us. It does not need to be a big movement. If you're rocking side to side, you might want to keep that movement going, but we're going to add in a lengthening out of one leg at a time. So the leg does not need to get to straight. Press to the side with one heel, and then press to the side with the other heel. So we're not holding any deep stretches just yet. We're bringing some movement into the body to wake it up, to open it gently. Side to side, like a happy baby having a little bit of a play. And then coming back towards center, we're going to release the outside edges of the feet or the backs of the knees and bring the hands to the insides of the thighs. Extend the legs as straight as you can. Your hands can support the insides to give you a little bit of extra stretch. If this is too much, Hands support the outsides of the legs. Flex through the feet like you're trying to draw your toes back toward your shoulders. Lower back is still heavy. Shoulders are still relaxed back and down. And taking a couple of big breaths here. And if your hands are supporting the outside, you might want to just explore what it feels if they're taken away. Suddenly the stretch deepens. So giving yourself what you need out of each movement today. Let's take one more big breath in here. And complete breath out. If your hands are to the insides of your legs or away from your legs completely, bring them back to the outsides and let's help guide the legs back together. Bend the knees, give the knees a squeeze into the chest. Now you can rock out onto one side and slowly make your way up into a seated position. Otherwise, we're gonna rock up and down the length of the spine. Start slow, rocking up toward the shoulders, up toward the sit bones, giving your spine a little bit of a massage as you go. And then when you next rock up, finding those sit bones, having a moment to hover, and then bringing the soles of the feet down to the mat. Soles of the feet draw together, knees go wide, and we come into a seated variation of our Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to turn to face you. We're drawing heels in toward hips, grounding through the sit bones, lengthening up through the crown of the head. You can either interlace your fingers, take them around to the bottom of your feet, or hold peace fingers to your big toes. Open your feet out as much as you can, like a book. All right, we're going to inhale. Draw the chest forward between the upper arms. Sit as tall as you can. And then exhale, just a little dip through the elbow. Draw the chest forward rather than down. Back of the neck is long. We're moving with the breath here. Inhale. Exhale, tiny dip. Again, inhale. And exhale, little dip. Inhale, let's come back up. Release your hands from your feet. Reach your hands high. It can feel a little sticky sitting up as tall as you can here, lengthening out from sit bones to fingertips. Big breath in. And then use the exhale, circle your hands down behind you, fingertips to the mat. So I'm going to turn back side on so you can see. Just fingertips down, press out of the mat, lift through the chest. You can stay here or gently start to draw your chin up toward the ceiling. Explore how it feels to stretch out the front of the neck. How does the breath move differently here for 3, 2, 1. If your head has moved back, gently draw your chin down toward your chest. And then release your hands from the mat in front of you. Shuffle your feet forward, making more of a diamond shape. Thread your arms underneath your legs. Palms can face up toward the ceiling, or palms double prayer on your feet. And we draw forehead down toward heels. It does not need to get all the way there. Letting the spine gently curve, allowing the shoulder blades to melt away from each other. Taking some big breaths into the back body. Beautiful, unraveling hands from legs. Coming to sit back up. Again, hands go to the outsides of the knees to encourage them together. Now walk your feet out to hip distance apart, feet are parallel. Hands come to the mat behind you. Fingers face toward you if possible. If not, you can take the fingers facing away. I will just add in some caution there. If you're taking that variation of your hands and wanting to lift your hips, just be gentle with your wrists. Depending on what's going on with your wrists and your shoulders, it will feel better one way or the other. I advise fingers toward hips. It might feel like a deeper stretch, but it's really nice on the wrists. So feet ground, hands ground, lift the chest, and this might be enough on the shoulders. You might want to stay here, opening across the front of the chest, drawing the face up toward the ceiling. Otherwise, we're going to press into the feet as well as the hands and lift the hips up to our reverse tabletop. As you've come into this shape, notice if you've started to hold tension through the neck, and see if you can just move the jaw a little bit, relax across it, relax across the shoulders. You can keep chin drawing towards chest, or slowly, gently start to move the head back. We don't want to throw it back. Being mindful with each movement, keep pressing out of the hands, out of the feet. One more, big breath in. And then as you exhale, chin draws towards chest. Start to draw your hips down toward the mat, then press down and forward through your heels. Draw your hips back in between your hands. We're going to move through this, pressing forward and back up. Back and down. This is the exhale. Feel your belly draw toward your lower back. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, really working on mobility through the shoulders, bringing the hips back, and then planting them down. So if you were just taking the variation with your chest open, now hips are down, hands are released, legs are out in front of you. We'll go for our Dandasana. So I'm going to keep my feet hip distance apart. If you feel more secure with them together, that's a really nice option. The legs do not need to be completely straight. You can keep as much of a bend through the knees as you can. You want to be long sit bones up through the crown of the head. So if you're pulling back, bend the knees some more. Pull some flesh out of the way. Find those sit bones. Tilt the top of the pelvis forward, sit tall. If you want to bring some height underneath your hips, go for it. Hands down on the mat beside you, depending on the length of your arms. Full palms down if that feels sort of accessible. Otherwise, fingertips down, wherever you can get a nice grip down on the mat. All right? We're going to inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Keep pressing down through the heels. And then exhale, draw chin to chest. 2 more breaths like this. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Legs are active, torso is lengthened. Exhale, draw chin in toward the collarbones. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. All right, inhale. Lift the head, look forward. Keeping the torso long, we're going to start to hinge at the hips. And if that's not happening, stay upright, because we're hinging at the hips only to the point where we can keep the torso straight, and then we're bending the knees to come up toward the armpits. So if this is upright, we're coming toward a happy baby shape, but sitting up. What? So bringing the knees right up, and then reaching for the outside edges of your feet. That's it. So feet are hip distance apart. We've got the outside edges of the feet. Start to draw the heels in toward the line of the hips. So we sit up even taller. Inhale. As you exhale, lift the left foot off the mat. Draw left knee to armpit. Press the left foot forward. Lift up through the chest for 3, 2, 1. Left foot comes down, just heel to the mat. So we stay quite active here. Right foot picks up, knee draws in toward armpit, foot presses forward, a little bit of a balance, lengthen through the crown of the head. For 3, roll that shoulder back. For 2, 1, we're going to do this again on either side or add on. So we pick the left foot up, come to that half happy baby variation. Otherwise, start to press the heel out, half straddle with the leg. For 3, keep expanding through the chest. For 2, 1, carefully bending the left knee. If you took that leg towards straight, left heel comes down, right leg extends out. For 3, lifting the chest, lengthening the spine. For 2, for 1. Beautiful. Right heel comes down. Feet plant down exactly where they are. Press down into your hands. Lift your hips. We're coming to our malasana. You might want to grab your bolster, pull it underneath your sit bones, take a supported malasana. Otherwise, you can hover the hips away from the mat here. So whatever feels the best for you today. Feet are a little wider than the hips. The toes might turn out slightly. Lengthen down through the sit bones, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Elbows are to the insides of the knees. So know that you can have your sit bones down on something. If this flexion of the knees is too much, bring the feet further forward. Make sure your hips are down and supported. Okay, and then we just work on drawing the knees out, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Feels a little bit like you're trying to take your belly forward in between your thighs. So I'm going to pull this bolster out of the way. Gives us a little bit more of a stretch out on the hips, but there is more weight involved. So if you're feeling a bit niggly through the hips or the knees, use that support. Press firmly palm into palm. And then draw the elbows out to lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, slowly, gently, right ear toward right shoulder. Inhale, head up through center. Exhale, slowly, gently, left ear toward left shoulder. Inhale, head through center, and then a little bit of a weird one. If you've been to my stretch classes before, you've probably done this with me. Backs of the hands come to the belly. Palms of the hands come to the thighs. Elbows are still to the insides of the knees, so we've got little chicken wings. And I don't know what this is called, but I think it looks like a little sleeping duckling. So we're going to press elbows into knees, start to squeeze the elbows toward each other, and draw chin as close in toward the chest as you can. And this radical opening across the outsides of the shoulders, down the arms, right up across to the insides of the shoulder blades. Take a couple of breaths here. Feeling the space in your back body open for 3. 2, 1. Press your elbows back out into your knees. Lift your head. Bring your fingertips down to the mat. So we're going to come into a forward fold. If you are seated, take your time to bring weight into your feet and then lift your hips up. Bring your feet in toward parallel and hip distance apart. And then bend the knees as generously as we need to, resting belly onto thighs, resting crown of the head down toward the mat. And then we're going to pistol grip our big toes. So middle and pointer finger wrap around the insides of the big toes. If you're up here pulling the legs towards straight, curling the spine, we're not going to be able to reach those toes. So really make sure the knees are bending. And then ask yourself where you are holding your weight. Is it right back into your heels? Can we bring it forward toward the toes just a little bit? So press into the toes, and this might encourage you to lift and spread the sit bones a little bit more. If the elbows have the ability to bend here, make sure they're pointing out to either side and bending out that way as you draw against your feet. Just as you do in your happy baby, pull your feet up toward the crown of the head with your hands, but the feet are grounding down into the mat. And this gives us a full body length, filling the cycle up the back body and then down up through the back of the head. This circular feeling, this circular energy. Head is heavy, jaw is relaxed. A few big breaths here. And then releasing the big toes on the next inhale, run hands to shins. Keep the knees a little bit soft. Bring your torso to parallel with the mat, including the neck, so we're looking directly down, finding our half lift. This is the inhale. The exhale melts us back down, belly to thighs, and we're going to do that a couple more times. Inhale, flow it up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, melt it back down, full forward fold. One more, big breath in. And long breath out. And then plant your hands down on the mat, spread the fingers, press into the palms, and walk your feet back, coming to your downward facing dog. So lifting and spreading through the sit bones, pressing down and forward through the hands, creating that pyramid shape through the body. The knees are as bent as they need to be. We're going to start to pedal out the feet here. And as you pedal out the feet, you might want to sway the hips one way, then the other, giving yourself a bit of movement, keeping both palms firmly grounded. Know that if holding this down dog is feeling a little strong today, you can always bring your hands up onto a couch or onto the back of a chair or even a wall and take a half variation of your down dog. I don't know if I'm in shot here, but just bringing some weight out of the upper body can be a really nice option, and you still get the stretch on the legs. So we're going to be here just for a couple of little exercises. Coming back to center when you've pedaled out your feet enough. And then we're going to start to draw the left heel down toward the mat as much as possible. This does not mean it needs to touch. This does not mean the left leg needs to get to straight. Pick your right foot up, hook your big toe and your second toe to the Achilles of the left foot, so to the back of the ankle. And then using that weight, just help it guide down toward the mat. Again, does not need to get there. Notice if you started to press more into one hand than the other and try and equal out the weight. Notice if you've started to hold or tense through the head, the neck, or the shoulders. Relax those areas of the body. Couple more breaths. Okay, we're going to unhook the right foot from the left ankle. We're going to thread the right foot in front of the left foot now and send the right leg out to the left as much as we can. We're landing on the outside edge of the foot, dropping the left heel down. Inhale, lifting the left elbow up like you're drawing a bow and arrow. Really intend upward with that elbow. Lift through the hips for 3, 2, 1, and then keep the position of the feet and carefully lower the hips down toward the mat. And it feels a little bit like I don't know how we got here, but we got here. All right, so legs are pretty wide. If there's space to take them wider, do so. Remember where the front of your mat is. We will be turning back to that in a moment. So taking the legs a little wider, this is a good opportunity to grab a hold of your strap or whatever it is you're using as a strap. I'm going to take the strap around my left foot. And then I'm going to hold the strap in my right hand. So you don't want all the slack in the world, but you do want a little bit of slack. So you can still sit up tall and reach the arm, reach the leg. From here, left hand is going to come down to the inside of the left leg. We're focusing as much as we can on a twist through the torso rather than getting close to that left leg. So press down through the left hand, start to pull back through the right shoulder, and sort of like a lasso, I guess, swing that arm back. Try and pull your left shoulder through as if you're rotating your chest up toward the ceiling. Maybe the gaze lifts. Beautiful big stretch down the right side of the body. If you've taken this a little far and your right sit bone is starting to lift, give yourself more slack. Come up a little bit more, but actively using that top arm to draw the chest through, and this also becomes a really beautiful stretch on that right shoulder. Breathing into your right side body for 3, for 2, for 1, and then start to untwist the body. Keep a hold of the strap. Come to sit up nice and tall. We're going to take the strap into the left hand. Flex out that left foot. Both sit bones stay grounded. See if you can lift the left heel off the mat. Staying nice and tall. That's it. For 3, you might want your right hand down for support, a hand to hip. Really giving that foot a big flex. For 2. For 1. A little bit of fun. We can try do this no hands to the mat. If you need to, please bring your hands down for support. We're going to pick that left foot up and the knee. Bend the knee and then reach the left foot over to the outside of the right knee. There we go. So keep the strap where it is, threaded through your knee. I think this will help in a second. I might have taken it the wrong way, but that's all right. So right elbow hooks to the outside of the left knee. And start to find a nice big twist. I'm going to swing myself around so you can see where I'm going for a bind here. So right elbow to the outside of the left knee, left hand behind you. You can stay here or start to reach your left hand around toward the outside of the right hip. My lefts and rights are not friendly with me today. So you might want to adjust your strap to grab a hold of it to help with that bind. And that just really helps guide the left shoulder back. You're pressing right elbow into left knee. Where was I? About here. And twisting it out. Spine is long. For 3. 2. 1, if you've taken the bind of the strap, release it. Let's inhale, unravel, and counter twist the other way. Both hands to the outside of the right hip. Allow the spine to curl slightly and look back over the right shoulder for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Look toward the front of your mat. We're going to plant the hands down. The left foot is forward. We're going to swing the right leg back and step back. Downward facing dog, or if you ended up facing a completely different direction, in whatever way you can, whatever way you need to, come back to your downward facing dog. So checking in with your lines, feet are hip distance, hands are shoulder distance, pressing down and forward, allowing the chest to draw inward toward the thighs, remembering the armpits wrapping in toward each other, to give the shoulders a bit of support. And this time we're starting to work the right heel down toward the mat. So lifting the left foot up, hooking the big toe and second toe toward the back of the heel. Remembering that heel does not need to find the mat. And I'm going to turn my down dog around so I don't end up doing this sequence with my back to you. So this is the new front of my mat. My right heel is sinking down. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then releasing the left toes from behind the right ankle. We're going to start to hook the left leg in front and shoot it through out to the right, landing on the outside edge of the foot. Swivel onto your right heel, your left hand, draw your right elbow up toward the ceiling. So drawing that bow and arrow for 3, hips high, 2, 1, and then starting to lower your hips carefully down toward the mat. And we sit legs quite wide. If there's space to take them wider, let's do so. Reaching for your strap and taking it toward the right foot. So strap around the right foot, or whatever it is you're using, belt, dressing gown, strap. Both sit bones are grounded. Sitting up nice and tall, strap comes into the left hand. Give yourself enough slack so that you can sit tall, left arm long, right leg long. Okay, and we're going to move in toward that big lateral stretch, this time stretching out the left side body. So start to lasso your left arm up and draw your torso through underneath that left arm. Right hand is to the mat for support. If there's space in your body, you might even take the right elbow down to anchor off and find the twist. Imagine your belly button is drawing up toward the ceiling. The more bent we work with this top arm, the less of a stretch we get through the shoulder. The more you start to lengthen that top arm out as you twist, the bigger the stretch through the shoulder as well. Drawing up, up, up. Notice if your left sit bone has started to lift, ground it, anchor it down. For 3. 2. 1. If you're looking up, shift the gaze down and then draw your body back through to come up into a seated position. Strap goes to the left, no, to the right hand instead. Right foot is flexed. Left hand can come to left hip or anywhere. It might come to the mat for support. You just want to make sure that you're sitting as tall as you can. So shoulders are directly above hips. Flex at that right foot and then get so active through the right leg that the heel starts to lift away from the mat, drawing toes back toward face. So this is a stretch, but it's also strengthening and stabilizing as well. For 3. Feeling this lift, this lengthening up. For 2. For 1, maybe no hands, maybe hands on the mat. We're going to pick that right leg up, bend the knee, and cross the right foot to the outside of the left knee. Allowing the strap to come to the outside of the left hip, and that will help us bind. And then twisting, left elbow to the outside of the left knee, right hand behind you. So you might reach for that strap to encourage the twist. And again, I'm just going to swivel myself around so you see. So my strap was to the outside of the hip, and then I twist, pick the strap up, and then use it to draw my right shoulder back some more. Notice what's happening to your left foot. Is it lazy? Let's flex the foot, heel down, toes up to activate that left leg. Taking a couple more big breaths here. Spine is long. Twisting, wringing it out for 3. 2. 1. And then using an inhale, untwist, counter twist the other way. Both hands to the outside of the left leg. Just a little lean out, gaze back over the left shoulder for 3. 2. 1. Inhale, lengthen the spine. I did turn around, so this is the new front of my mat. Hands down toward the front. Press into your right foot. Step your left foot. And then your right foot back, revisit your down dog. If you're tangled in your strap like I am, untangling yourself and moving it out of the way. Let's take one deep breath in together. Open the mouth, sigh the breath out. 2 more like this. Inhale. Open the mouth, sigh the breath out. 1 more deep breath in. And full breath out. And then drawing the knees down toward the mat, we're making our way into our child's pose, Balasana. So knees wide, big toes together, hips back to heels. If this is too much flexion on the knees, it can be nice to bring a pillow or a bolster or a rolled up blanket in between the thighs and the calves. Give yourself a little bit of height. We're going to take the hands forward, down, and then walk them forward. Forehead to the mat or forehead supported by your hands or a block or anything that allows it to rest. And allow the belly to sink down toward the mat in between the thighs. Starting to find a nice downward grounding energy here. And keeping your body nice and low, we're just going to thread the left arm underneath the right. Bring the forehead back down to the mat. So we're not turning this into a twist today. We're making this all about the left shoulder. If you want a little bit more for the left shoulder, bend through the elbow and give yourself a hug with that left arm. Keep drawing the right shoulder down toward the mat as well. If you've hugged with the left arm, let's extend it back long. And then lift the head, unthread, reach the left arm long, thread the right arm through. Forehead comes back down, taking a few moments here. And then if you took that hug action on the other side, doing that again on this side. And then if you've hugged your arm, extending it back long. Lifting the head, looking forward. Reaching the right arm back in front of you. We're going to come into our Anahatasana. So we're going to first press into the palms. Lift up and draw the knees back underneath the hips. Taking the feet back out to parallel. So we no longer want the big toes to be together. Start to walk your hands forward, beyond your shoulders. Your hips stay over your knees. Tops of the feet are grounding down into the mat. So hands walk forward, forward, forward until we can start to sink the chest down. Forehead comes down. So this is also known as puppy pose, and you've definitely seen, well, I've seen photos of a lot of your puppies doing this one. They're variations of a downward dog. So sinking the chest down, the heart space down. Forehead stays down, or if there's space for you today, the chin can come toward the mat. Maybe even the chest starts to find contact with the mat, but this is a big one on the shoulders. So making sure you're taking this to a space where you can still breathe freely. And then lifting your head, looking forward. Forearms are parallel, press into them, elbows and palms ground as you roll the shoulders forward and carefully extend the legs back, coming toward our Sphinx pose. So hips are grounded, being mindful of your lower back here. If you need to take this lower, come down, forehead down, lifting the chest a little bit. Otherwise, elbows underneath shoulders, forearms are parallel. Press down through the tops of the feet, press down through the pubic bone, draw it forward toward the sternum. Draw the sternum forward toward the front of the room, roll the shoulders back and down. Notice if your shoulders are drawing right up into your ears, press into the elbows, draw them down and away from the ears. Give yourself a little bit of space. So you might want to stay still here, or we're going to take a little movement through the neck. Slow and careful. Inhale. Exhale, look over your right shoulder. It does not need to be big. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, look over your left shoulder. It does not need to be big. Inhale, back to center. We're going to do it again. You have the option to press into your hands, lift the elbows off the mat. Again, listen for your lower back. Maybe right hand, not right hand, right cheek. Chin toward right shoulder, body parts. You know what I mean. Come back through center. Look over your left shoulder. Come back through center. If your elbows are lifted, make sure you're looking forward. Use the exhale, bring the elbows down. And we're all going to come all the way onto our bellies. Inhale. Exhale, come all the way down. My favorite shoulder stretch. Right cheek to the mat, right arm to the right, in line with your shoulder. Palm faces down. Left hand is underneath left shoulder, left knee bends, and we're going to roll onto our right side. Left foot comes behind the right leg, left knee points up toward the ceiling. So this is all about the right shoulder, right cheek is heavy. We can turn this into a little bit more of a twist by drawing that left hip back as feels accessible. Let's take a few big breaths here. And then straightening out the left leg. Carefully rolling back onto your belly, send your left arm long. Right hand underneath shoulder, right knee bends, left cheek to the mat, right foot behind the left leg. Make sure the left palm, the left cheek are both grounded. You don't want your left hand to be becoming too much lower of your shoulder because it sort of loses a lot of the stretch and also just becomes a bit sticky in the angle of the arm. So left hand in line with the shoulder. The more you draw that right hip back, the more this becomes a twist as well. Relaxing through the jaw, maybe closing down the eyes. Let's take one more big breath in. Complete breath out. And then straightening out the right leg, rolling back onto your belly. Bringing both hands in underneath your shoulders, tucking your toes, pressing into your hands and knees, drawing up toward your tabletop. We're going to bring the knees together, the feet together. Toes are untucked and sit your hips back toward your heels. Stretching at the tops of the ankles, the fronts of the lower legs, the shins. And this might be more than enough if this feels quite strong. If you're used to wearing heavy shoes like work boots, this can be a really nice stretch out just to get the foot out of flexion, out of dorsiflexion. If you want a little bit more, hands can come down beside you. We lean back to lift the knees. If we want a little bit of a balance challenge, maybe the hands come to the heart. It's not necessary. It doesn't really add anything except for that balance. Make sure that you're smiling wherever you are. For 3, and breathing. For 2. For 1, if the hands are to the heart, they might want to come to the mat first to guide yourself back down. Knees down, hips lift, tuck the toes. We'll go for the bottoms of the feet now. So opposite, if you're used to wearing heels quite often, this one can feel very, very strong. This sort of radical dorsiflexion of the feet, including the stretch out of the toes. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. I'm going to face you, and we're going to distract ourselves by moving our arms. Let's inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, circle the hands back and down. Interlace the fingers behind you. You might want to reach for your strap. Inhale, draw the shoulder blades together, lift through the chest. And then as you exhale, hands toward the right hip, look over your left shoulder. We're going to stay here for a deep breath in. A long breath out. And then gazing forward, bring the hands back behind you. Hands toward the left hip. Look back over the right shoulder. Take a deep breath in. A long breath out. Stay with me, keep breathing. Inhale, look forward, hands back behind you. Release the interlace of the fingers. Circle the arms up. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind your head. Elbows wide. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the face. Exhale, chin to chest, elbows draw together. Just 2 more breaths, then we're done here. I promise. Inhale. Use the breath. Exhale. 1 more deep breath in. And long breath out. Inhale, sit tall, reach the arms up. Here we go. Exhale, circle the hands forward. Untuck those toes. Give the tops of the feet a nice little tap out on the mat. And then cross the ankles, pull the hips back or rock out onto one hip to come down into a seated position. And take the legs forward. Feet hip distance apart. We'll pick the hips up, shuffle them down toward the heels. If you have your bolster and you want to use it underneath your knees in your Shavasana, you can bring it in now. If you're not using one today, don't worry about it. Just keep the feet grounded, the hips grounded, reaching the arms forward. So either reaching the arms forward, or I like to cheat a little bit and hold on to my bolster. Arms forward is more core. So whatever option feels good. Lift through the chest on the inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly lowering yourselves all the way down toward the mat. Back of the head goes heavy. Once you're down, we'll finish off with a nice gentle twist. So taking your arms out wide, palms turn to face up. Draw the feet in closer to the hips. If you have a bolster there, you might just want to pop your feet up on the bolster. If you're not using one, just feet to the mat. Inhale. We're windscreen wiping those knees. Exhale, send them out to the left. Take a deep breath in here. And a full exhale. Inhale, draw the knees back up to center. And exhale, take them out to the right. A deep breath in. And a long breath out. And we're just going to do one more either side. Inhale back to center. Exhale out to the left. This time you have the option to reach your right leg long out to the left as well for a full breath in. And a long breath out. And if you've taken the extension of the right leg, bending the knee, bringing the foot back to the mat or the bolster, inhale back up through center. Exhale, knees, windscreen wiper out to the right. Staying here, extend the left leg long to the right. A deep breath in, shoulders stay grounded. And a long breath out. If the leg is extended, bend the knee, ground the foot, draw the knees back up to center. And let's move toward our Shavasana, drawing the arms a little closer down by the body, tucking the shoulder blades underneath us, and extending the legs long. Maybe the bolster is underneath your knees. Heels to the mat. Allow the toes to relax out to either side. Taking a moment to find center, to find comfort. And then once you're there, really allowing yourself to be still. The connection we have cultivated with that long, steady, active breath, start to allow it to become more subtle now. So there, if there was someone sitting right next to you, or maybe there is, they wouldn't be able to hear you breathe, but you can hear your breath. It's still there. It's still moving. It's subtle, it's soft, it's gentle. It allows us to drift into a more relaxed state of mind and body. If in stillness you find your mind starts to wander, keep coaxing it back to this gentle sound of your breath. This soft internal rhythm that you have, almost like the waves of the ocean on a really calm day, just gently lapping the shore. When you're practicing at home, it can be quite tempting to cut your Shavasana short. I encourage you to release from that temptation and just invite yourself to be here a little longer. Give yourself the permission of this space. Letting the practice settle in the body and feeling the benefits of it. I'm going to leave you here this morning. Thank you for coming to your mat and moving with me. Namaste.